Hold on, hold on. Oh! No, I'm not doing it. Dude.
You can't resist.
I know, but dude, I gave him my ID. I gave him
You
my
can't
ID.
resist.
I gave him
You
my
can't
ID.
resist. You
I
can't
know,
resist.
dude, but I gave him my
I know,
ID.
just stop.
Like, I gave him my ID. Hold on.
I know, just stop.
Hey, can you go tell Amber that I'm being taken, please?
Yeah.
The sound you just heard is the warning arc of a Taser X26P. It means 50,000 volts are ready to fire. On October 10th, 2024, Officer Lachlan Hicks of the Lowell, Arkansas Police Department activated that warning on Cynthia Sanchez Rosas because she wouldn't get out of her car fast enough. She was pulled over for doing 40 in a 25. He threatened to tase her. He later told another officer, and I'm quoting from his own body camera, "I would have been green light to taser." But then he said something else, something that didn't just end the argument, it ended his legal defense. He said the taser was to, and I quote, compel compliance. In the next several minutes, I'm going to walk you through why that one word, compliance, makes this one of the most educational Fourth Amendment cases I've ever seen on a traffic stop. And by the end, you will understand the exact legal line between a cop controlling a scene and a cop violating the Constitution. Let's go back to the beginning. Officer Hicks is a patrolman in Lowell, a small city in northwest Arkansas. From the moment he steps out of his cruiser, you can hear it in his voice, a young officer who treats every traffic stop less like a public service and more like a test of authority. He's pulled over a blue Honda. Behind the wheel is Cynthia Sanchez Rosas. She's on her way back to work. She is not a lawyer. She is someone who believes, maybe naively, that if an officer accuses you of speeding, he should have to show you the radar. The stop begins with the standard script. Hicks tells her she was doing 40 in a 25. She says that's not true. He asks for license and insurance. She has her license, but instead of handing it over, she asks a question that will define the entire encounter. Do you have the evidence where I was running 40?
Or in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. The encounter was captured on both Officer Hicks' body camera and dash cam.
13 traffic. Be on the west side of JB Hunt Corporate.
Now, under Section 271-16601 of the Arkansas Code, a driver must produce their license upon demand during a lawful traffic stop. That obligation is not conditioned on the officer first proving the stop was valid. The United States Supreme Court made a related point clear in 1977 in Pennsylvania v. Mims. Once a vehicle is lawfully stopped, an officer may order the driver out of the car as a matter of course, no extra suspicion needed. So, as a matter of black-letter law, Cynthia Sanchez Rosas was required to hand over the license and, when later ordered, to step out. She didn't. Instead, she repeated her request for proof. And that's when Officer Hicks said the words that escalated everything. Next time I have to ask, I'm going to arrest you.
Stopping you for doing 40 and a 25.
40 on a 25?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true.
It is true.
That's not true.
Okay. Do you have your license and insurance?
Do you have the,
Do you have your license and insurance?
I do
For
have my
obstructing governmental operations, she pushed back. He told her to get out. She hesitated. He opened the door, reached across her to unbuckle the seatbelt, and she blocked him. That's when the taser came.
Hold on,
Stop.
don't do that, don't do
Stop.
that. Hold on, hold on, hold
Stop.
on, hold on, man.
Stop.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh! No, I'm not doing it. Dude.
You can't resist.
I know, but dude, I gave him my ID. I
resist.
gave
You
him
can't
my
resist.
ID. I gave him
You
my
can't
ID.
resist. You
I
can't
know,
resist.
dude, but I gave him my
I
ID.
know, just stop.
Like, I gave him my ID. Hold on.
I know, just stop.
Hey, can you go tell Amber that I'm being taken, please?
But
Yeah.
before we get to the weapon, let's sit with that obstructing charge for a moment, because it's the first domino. Under Arkansas Code Section 54102, a person commits obstructing governmental operations when they intentionally obstruct, impair, or hinder the performance of a governmental function. Sounds broad, but the Arkansas Court of Appeals clarified in the 2026 case of Caton v. State that the statute requires actual interference. Passive or minimal non-compliance, a delay, a question, a moment of hesitation, may not be enough. So the legal question becomes, did her asking for proof and not immediately producing the license actually hinder his investigation of a speeding violation, or did it merely delay it by seconds? The body camera shows a verbal back and forth, not a flat refusal. She eventually offers her ID. She says, "I'm giving you my ID." The obstruction charge is, at best, fragile. But Officer Hicks didn't stop there. Once she was out of the car, she kept talking, kept asking why she had to walk back that way, kept arguing. He told her she was going to get taken to the ground. She said, "Don't do that." He grabbed her. She tensed up. He tried an armbar, couldn't get it, then leg hooked her and slammed her onto the pavement.
She was arguing, "I wasn't doing 40 and 25, I wasn't doing that." It's like, "Yes, you were." So, and then she's like, "I want to see it." It's like, "No, do you have your license?" We went back and forth for a little bit.
The charge list grew. Obstructing, resisting arrest, refusal to submit, and speeding. Under Arkansas law, resisting arrest under subsection A requires using or threatening physical force that creates a substantial risk of injury. Refusal to submit under subsection B can be active or passive. A court could reasonably find that her physical opposition during the struggle satisfied one or both. But even that conclusion doesn't answer the bigger question hanging over this entire case. The real legal problem for Officer Hicks isn't what she did on the ground, it's what he almost did in the car, and what he said about it afterward. I want you to hold that thought, because we're about to watch a police officer talk himself into a constitutional violation without even realizing it. And if you're asking yourself why a speeding ticket turned into a takedown and a taser threat, the answer is about to become very clear. More on that in a moment. After Cynthia Sanchez-Rosas was in handcuffs, Officer Hicks did something that body cameras have made increasingly common. He debriefed with other officers on scene, casually, as if the cameras weren't still rolling. And in that conversation, he revealed his true motivation for the taser. Listen to what he says. "I tell her to walk back this way. She refuses to do it. I go to grab her. She pulls away. But this one, I think I made the right choice." Then he asks for confirmation. I would have been green light to taser.
It's like, "Yes, you were." So, and then she's like, "I want to see it." It's like, "No, do you have your license?" We went back and forth for a little bit. She kept trying to argue about it. I was like, "All right, get out," right? And so she wouldn't, so I opened her door, went to go get the seatbelt. Well, she blocked me from getting it. And so I was pulling the taser out. I hit the warning. She's like, "All right, you don't have to tase me, dude. You don't have to tase me, dude."
My motivation was to compel compliance. The other officer agrees, saying her conduct was active resistance and that the taser would have been justified. But Officer Hicks then says something fascinating. He admits the warning worked. She got out when she heard the arc. The threat alone achieved what he wanted. He did not deploy the probes. And that, right there, is where the Fourth Amendment enters the room. Here is the midpoint of this story. And if you stayed with me this far, you're about to learn something most people never understand about police use of force. The most damaging evidence against Officer Hicks hasn't been played yet. It just came out of his own mouth, and the law is already waiting for it. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable seizures, and that includes the use of excessive force. The controlling standard comes from the 1989 Supreme Court case, Graham versus Connor. Courts must look at the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate safety threat, and whether they are actively resisting or trying to flee. In 2009, the Eighth Circuit, which covers Arkansas, applied those factors in Brown versus City of Golden Valley. There, an officer tased a passenger during a traffic stop solely because she refused to hang up a 911 call. The court ruled that a reasonable jury could find that force excessive. The passenger had committed, at most, a minor misdemeanor. She posed no safety threat. She was not physically resisting. Critically, the court drew a bright line between a genuine threat to officer safety and a mere affront to command authority. An affront to command authority, the court said, cannot justify a taser. Now apply that standard to Officer Hicks's own words. He admits his motivation was to compel compliance, not to neutralize a threat. Cynthia Sanchez Rosas was suspected of a minor traffic violation. She made no threats, no sudden moves. At the moment the taser warning arc fired, she was sitting in her car, arguing. She was not actively resisting, she was non-compliant. Under Eighth Circuit precedent, non-compliance and arguing alone do not amount to active resistance. That distinction comes from the 2017 case Tatum versus Robinson, which clarified that physically struggling, threatening an officer, or fleeing are what separate active resistance from passive non-compliance. The warning arc came before any physical struggle. It came in response to a delay, a question, a blocked seatbelt. That sequence matters. That sequence tells you the force was not about safety, it was about obedience. So here is the moment the entire stop pivots from a police encounter to a constitutional lesson. The warning arc that was supposed to be a tool of control becomes the centerpiece of a Fourth Amendment problem. Not because it was cruel, not because it was loud, but because under the objective reasonableness standard, threatening to deploy a taser against a non-threatening person to force faster compliance is exactly the kind of conduct the Eighth Circuit has already said a jury could find unreasonable. Officer Hicks didn't just risk his department's policy, he risked a federal lawsuit, and he handed the plaintiff the key piece of evidence, his own admission. Compel compliance. Not protect himself, not protect others. Compel compliance. This is the backfire. The warning arc didn't just fizzle, it boomeranged. The officer who believed he was in the green lit the fuse on his own legal exposure, and the body camera caught every word. So where do you stand? At what moment did this stop cross the line? Was it when the taser came out? When he opened the door? Or was it the moment he told his fellow officers exactly why he did it? I want to read your answers in the comments because the legal analysis here is genuinely debatable, and I suspect many of you will draw the line in different places. Now, let's bring this home. Cynthia Sanchez Rosas was charged with obstructing governmental operations, speeding, and refusal to submit to arrest. Her car was impounded, her glasses were bent, she went to jail. She is not blameless. Under the law, she had a duty to produce her license and exit the vehicle. She did not do so promptly. She questioned the validity of the stop at the roadside, which is almost never the right venue. The legal system provides a mechanism for that challenge, a courtroom with a judge and a motion to suppress. The side of the road is not that courtroom. And when the physical struggle began, she tensed up, she pulled away, and she potentially exposed herself to resisting charges that a prosecutor could pursue. The law is clear. Physical resistance, however understandable in the heat of the moment, carries its own consequences. As frustrating as it feels, complying in the moment and litigating later is almost always the safer path. But there is a far larger lesson here, and it's the one I want you to carry with you. Lawful authority and sound professional judgment are not the same thing. Officer Hicks had the legal right to order her out of the car. He had the legal right to arrest her if he believed she was obstructing. But the Constitution does not give officers a blank check to threaten force as a shortcut to compliance. The Fourth Amendment draws a line between a safety threat and an ego threat. And when an officer crosses that line, even with just a warning arc, the law remembers. This case is a masterclass in that distinction. Officer Hicks gave the case a C- in my analysis for his failure to de-escalate, his premature resort to force, and a taser threat that his own words revealed as constitutionally suspect. Cynthia Sanchez Rosas earned a C for her non-compliance and physical resistance. Neither walked away clean.
From governmental operations. You have the car key?
I've got it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dude, I really thought that's what you would use.
Real quick, there's no...
But if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. The next time you see a traffic stop escalate, listen for the why. The officer's motivation matters, because the moment force becomes about making someone obey faster instead of making a scene safe, the law has a name for it. It's called excessive force. And as Officer Hicks may one day learn, that warning arc can end up costing far more than a speeding ticket. I'm curious, do you think the threat of a taser should ever be used to gain compliance in a non-violent traffic stop? Where do you draw the line? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out Audit the Court if you're interested in exploring the legal nuance beyond the body camera.